similar quote. Ben gets hit more than anybody in the league, and he never complains. Come on, man. This is the game of football. If you're out there and you're scared to take a shot, then don't be out there, especially if you're a running quarterback. Defenses are going to take shots at you, just the way his style of playing football, how he celebrates. I guess he gives the guys a chip. Like, let's go hit the reigning NFL MVP. Also, our Ed Warder reports the officiating review of the Cardinals-Panthers game concludes one illegal hit on Newton was not penalized. Cardinals defensive end Calais Campbell should have been flagged for diving and hitting Newton low while the quarterback was in the pocket. Warder also reported Commissioner Roger Goodell has vowed the league will review the overall Newton situation and promises he will speak to Cam directly. Stephen A., is there anything Cam can do to make it better for himself right now?
Nothing. He can do nothing to make it better. If he speaks, he's going to get crucified. If he shuts up, he's going to get crucified. The reality of the situation is that he's in a no-win situation. It's entirely lose-lose no matter what. He has to accept that and move forward. Because the reality is that it's self-inflicted to some degree. Not entirely, but it's self-inflicted. Some of those hits, they should have been flagged. There's no question that Cam Newton is getting popped silly, no doubt about it. But Max Kellerman, I would say this to you. If you recall, Cam kind of invited it on himself. Last year, while the Carolina Panthers were in the throes of a 15-1 season, looking absolutely spectacular, en route to a Super Bowl appearance, there was a point where Cam Newton stood up at the podium and addressed folks that had a problem with him dabbing and taking pictures and being in such a celebratory mood while in the throes of competition. Cam Newton looked into the cameras and sat there and said, "Shut me up then. Do something about it. You invited grown men with mortgages to pay, families to feed, massive dudes who, by the way, don't view you at 6'5" and 260 pounds. They know that you're formidable, but they certainly don't view you as invincible, especially in the aftermath of what happened in the Super Bowl with Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, and the crew. You invited that. That does not give them a right to knock him upside his head. It certainly doesn't give the officials a pass in terms of missing those calls that are clear, that should clearly be flagged in favor of him against them. But the inescapable reality is that football, you have a license to assault dudes. You know this because you've played this game on an elite level, which is why you're the reigning league MVP. And while you were winning, you talked. And you boasted and you bragged, and now they are coming for you. There's no way out of this other than for him to deal with it and to find a way to win in spite of it. And in the process, stop allowing the Carolina Panthers to use your body as a ping pong machine where you're going out there and literally having power running plays run for, schematically set for you. That's not going to work. That's not going to cut the mustard. But he doesn't win any way you slice it, Max. He shuts up. He's going to get vilified. He talks. He's going to get vilified.
Is there anything Cam can do to make it better for himself? The answer is yes. Not in an absolute sense, but in a relative sense. You know what a rising fastball is in baseball? It looks to the hitter like it's actually rising, but physics says that's impossible. It's got to be dropping. But there's a spin on the ball that is such, it's not dropping as fast as you anticipate a normal ball would drop. It's dropping at a slower rate, so it appears to be rising. That's what Cam can do. He can shut up. He can stop talking. And even if it gets worse, it won't get worse as fast as if he keeps talking. And I want to talk about Andrew Luck, Muhammad Ali, Derek Jeter, and Alex Rodriguez right now. See, Cam comes across like A-Rod. A-Rod, every time he opened his mouth, you felt like there was an ulterior motive. You felt that he wasn't comfortable. He wasn't just, there wasn't something forthright about it. There was a lack of authenticity when he spoke. That was A-Rod. Jeter, when he spoke, he didn't say anything. It was all cliche, but you got the sense that he meant it. That's Andrew Luck to me. Andrew Luck is Jeter. Andrew Luck seems to have, and I compare him to Luck because they came in around the same time. They were the two best in college at the same time, and I think that we're in their era, though that's unclear at this at this moment. Those are the two blue chip guys, the bluest of blue chip coming into the league. And Luck has internalized all those kind of cliched football lessons you can see from a young age, because everything he says in good times deflects all the credit. In bad times, takes all the blame. And you can see he believes it. He's drank the Kool-Aid. And Cam is the opposite. Cam in good times takes a lot of credit, rubs people the wrong way. And in bad times, deflects some blame. It's the refs, they're letting them hit me, whatever. Now, I agree with the content of what he says, the content. But the way he presents it just rubs people the wrong way. Saying something like, I don't feel safe, you're not a college sophomore talking about a safe space. You're on the gridiron. It's the opposite of a safe space. Well, what about for quarterbacks? Yes, I agree. They hit him out of proportion. Although they also hit Roethlisberger and some other big, strong guys out of proportion. And in addition to that, he's out of the pocket a lot. And as you mentioned, it's like power running plays designed for him. So it's going to add up. So what I would say, there are those who would say, what about Muhammad Ali? Muhammad Ali took all the credit in good times, one-on-one sport, I know, and come up with excuses sometimes in the bad times. Ali was authentic. When he was talking, you felt like you were getting a straight dope. When Cam is talking, I think people get the sense, because I do, that it's something other than the straight dope, and it leaves people feeling uncomfortable about it.
Yeah, but the straight dope is something that compromises all of us. You don't think there's things I want to say? Walt Disney, ESPN. You understand? In the world that we're living in, PC as it can be. You understand? Of course, it's compromised a nation of people because of the times that we're living in. Ali, with his authenticity, that was one of the things that was a breath of fresh air. But there were a whole bunch of Alis out there. They weren't as good of a boxer. They could have been an accountant. They could have been a lawyer or whatever. We didn't care about them, but he was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And so, and not only that, who joined the Nation of Islam. And because of that, he spoke out on a lot of injustices that were permeating our society.
Before the injustice, before he took those.
But wait a minute. But he felt that way. Stances. But he felt that way is what I'm saying. Those were different times. The times that we're living in right now, and I am in no way completely absolving Cam, because there are some things that he could do better, like saying fun. I'm not having fun. Get the hell over that. Nobody wants to hear that from Cam Newton. $60 million, reigning league MVP, and you weren't saying that when you were going 15-1 last year. You're saying it when you were after you went 2-5 on Sunday. We don't want to hear that. But when you talk about safety, wait a minute. There are rules and regulations that clearly govern this sport. How is it that the quarterback is so ultra protected, but when it comes to me, there seems to be excuses? I'm saying how he's thinking. I don't totally agree with it, because again, we know at least 4 dudes that had roughing the passer penalties missed, even more so than him.
Right, the content of what he said is not the problem.
I know that, but what I'm saying to you is when you challenge his authenticity, I'm saying everybody's authenticity. We're living in an age where nobody's absolved from
I'm talking about the way it's received. Yes, obviously by me, the way I'm perceiving it, but I get the sense that others are perceiving it that way as well. That Cam has a way of delivering his message and a way of talking to the press about these kind of grievances that rub people the wrong way. His delivery doesn't come across as him somehow.
I'm saying to you, there are times even when I've acknowledged that about him in the past. My point is because of us, not because of him. This dude has gone up. This dude has walked in front of the camera and he says, look, we know it's a little bit different for me. We know what I got to deal with. Everybody was in an uproar. He steps back. He doesn't say anything. Folks are attacking him for that. We got to recognize that. The difference is that Brady isn't held accountable, Peyton Manning isn't held accountable, and others aren't held accountable for it the way that he is.
No, but they also don't leave the podium before the end of the interview and all those kind of things.
That's what Brady did the other day.
And he got roundly criticized.
You said that when he talks, he's vilified. When he doesn't talk, he's vilified. How is he going to be vilified if he doesn't talk in this situation?
In this particular situation? No, I'm not saying in this situation. situation that he would be vilified for it. I'm saying if you know that there's a history of that, then it makes you hesitant in every regard because people will nitpick no matter what you say. And I understand that part. There's no way around that. He can't win. There is nothing that Cam Newton can do that's going to satisfy everybody. If he talks, he's going to get vilified.
When you defy,
if he doesn't,
the orthodoxy, the received wisdom, this is the way we always do it, right? Especially in a sport like football that does not encourage individuality the way, say, basketball does, or the NBA did, or at least Stern did, and now maybe Silver's doing. When you speak out in that way and you don't kind of follow the prescription of the way you're supposed to do it, if you're balling, you can do it. But as you mentioned earlier, in bad times, that will be held against you. He's celebrating in good times in a way that I loved it, but some people said, oh, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. And now we see in bad times, he's coming across as making excuses, and those who didn't like the celebrations, aha, see, now we got you. That's the reason when you defy the orthodoxy, when you do it your own way, you mentioned about Ali, boy, you better have the ultimate success. And right now, that's not what he's having.
He's not having that right now, but nobody's disputing that. You're saying that he's coming across as inauthentic.
Yes.
And I'm saying he's coming across as very authentic because he knows he can't win no matter what he says. He's a guy that looks hesitant to say anything until it's time for him to vent.
I'm not denying that dynamic, but do you not understand what I mean when you say you see Cam deliver a message and you're like, there's something rehearsed in it. There's something that he's not selling it to me because I don't believe he's always buying it himself. He hasn't. And it seems like he's interested in the response what he's saying is going to get, as opposed to just saying how you feel.
Message.
Yes. And he's delivering a message that he has every right to deliver. I'm not disagreeing with the content. But if you're saying, is there a way for him to win?
The fun, the safe, those are the things that everybody got stuck on, more so than getting hit.
If you're saying, what can he do? Is this a lose-lose situation? No. I believe if he stops talking, there's nothing you can do right now to make media criticism and fan criticism just go away.
That's all I was saying.
But over time, it will dissipate if he stops talking. Or when he talks.
It's not that it will dissipate. This is the reality. Cam can't give a damn. Cam can't. Listen, I got to watch how I say something or the words that I use. So do you, so does everybody. But at the end of the day, please be clear. I live in peace because I give 2 cents what anybody thinks about what I got to say. I don't care. But that's where Cam's got to get to. Cam literally cares because of how it's going to be received.
And that changes his delivery or his content.
So
in other words, you are authentic.
Right.
And he is not as much.
But what I'm saying to you is that that's not his fault. That's ours. Because if you sit up there, if Cam literally walked into a press conference today, literally this morning, and went like this, yeah, y'all go ahead, man. What's your questions? I'm real tired. Oh, why is he tired? What the hell's wrong with him? I mean, literally.
But if he
walked in there eating a sandwich, they would complain about that. If he walked in with flip-flops, they might complain about that.
Why can't he ignore that? Why can't he just ignore it and do what you do?
That's why I said he has to get to a point where he doesn't give a damn because right now he can't win
so
because
therefore
he cares.
Stop talking until that point. Look, I didn't get on.
He's obligated to do 2 interviews a week.
I always thought the media is not a monolith. It doesn't just walk lockstep. And even though he was criticized by many, I think unfairly, there are others like me who say, wait a minute, you're criticizing Cam for giving a kid a football in the stands? You're criticizing Cam for dancing when he gets in the end zone? All that's ridiculous. If you want to criticize him, even walking away from the press conference after the Super Bowl, the media is just complaining because he's making their jobs more difficult.
No.
But you want to criticize him? Criticize him for not jumping on the football. There are legitimate criticisms. And me, as a Cam Newton fan who usually defends him, am saying that there's something about the way he talks that makes me feel A-Rod, that makes me think there's something inauthentic there. He needs to stop.
Maybe because he's listening to the media.
When he walked away from the press conference, I was on the air the next day complaining about it. You're saying no. Complain about him not jumping on the football. I say no. Complain about him walking away from that press conference. What were my words that day? The next day, following the Super Bowl, why did I say there's a problem? I said because they're not going to have the success next year that they had this year. And when you lose, if you sit up there, everybody's going to be watching. because now we're going to know about the maturation process when he's struggling. It's all good when you go on 15-1 and you go into the Super Bowl. But because of that moment in the Super Bowl is why the cynicism has elevated this year. That's exactly what I said that day. That's why he can't win. He can't win.
He can win, though, if he speaks freely and he stops listening to the media
eventually,
and social media,
right
like
now,
you're saying. Like
right
you always
now,
say,
he
I
can't
just
win.
pay attention to my family and things like that.
Right now, he can't win. Right now, he can't win. But I mean, I was raised up not giving a damn. It's not new to me. You know, but for him, clearly it is.
If he stops talking, it'll actually get better. And to me, that's a win.
Can't stop talking. You got to talk on Wednesday. Got to talk on Sunday.
Speaking of not talking, Tom Brady has been torching the NFL since returning from his Week 4 Deflategate game, and Jim Kelly has some high praise for Tom Terrific. We'll tell you what he said coming up next.
How does he handle the big moment?
You have to take everything into consideration. Why? For what?
Come on, dude.
He sued everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Now we have to watch what's actually happening.
USA.
I'm good.
I come inside Burger King, they say, you know, we have a 2 for $10. And I'm like, what? I could get my brother some too.
Nietzsche, you want a Whopper? Yeah, he wants one. Get 2 100-minute
video with your best sports debate. Keep it clean, no music, team logos, trademarks, or copyright material. 2 winners will be selected by our show staff, and we could see you at the debate desk taking on Stephen A. and Max. Here's a few of our latest submissions.
There is no way Tom Brady should be MVP this season. And there's so many reasons why. As great as Brady's been, Garoppolo had an 89.5 QBR in these 2 starts. Brady in his 3 starts has a 92. So he's not even 3 points better in QBR than his backup.
Tom Brady can absolutely win the MVP in 12 games. He's played outstanding these first 3. And if he plays close to it the rest of the way and the Patriots go 10-2, 11-1, which is very possible, he could definitely be a leading candidate.
I think it's the equivalent of Steve Kerr being the coach of the year last year after missing a third of the season. But what I wanted to point out is you have a lot of guys who have a phenomenal season. You have to look at these guys like Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Ezekiel Elliott, Drew Brees. These guys are having great seasons. I know the season's not over yet, but we have to take consideration of all the things come.
What do you think, guys?
Well, I didn't know what that noise was in that background for the one guy, you know, the Will Kane lookalike.
Background
the
music?
Will Kane lookalike.
Oh,
I didn't know what was going on with that. But they were all right, but it wasn't comparable to what we saw yesterday and the day before. We had some hype videos. Those were okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I keep on bringing up the hip-hop comparison, but doing this for a living, it's like a rapper. So-and-so has the best lyrics, but so-and-so has the best delivery. It's not. It's none of that really matters. It's the lyrics and the delivery. It's not one or the other. You need both. You need the content, and you need the flavor. Both. Here I heard some content, but some flavor was missing.
Challenging the people. I get it. I like it. Let's get into it. Speaking of challenging, Tom Brady has been surgical this season. So much so that despite missing the first 4 games of the season due to suspension, he's already tied for 11th in the league in passing TDs. Now Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly is praising Brady. Take a listen.
I consider him probably the greatest quarterback ever to play the game. I really do. He showed it yesterday. He's shown it year after year, game after game. And the consistency every single year he does it. And he doesn't have all the time the greatest players around him. I mean, a lot of times they're in and out. Welker's gone. A couple other guys are gone. But the thing is, he makes it work. It doesn't matter what it is.
Stephen A., do you agree with Kelly that he's the GOAT?
I love Jim Kelly. Really happy for him. Seems to be getting himself together health-wise.
Kelly's strong.
Incredible battles that he's had to endure. My admirations to him. I respectfully disagree with him. No statistical information to lean on because you can't. Joe Montana played in a different era than Tom Brady. Tom Brady's got about nearly 60,000 yards passing. He's phenomenal. We understand this. But I'm going by the eye test itself. I'm going by the things that I saw Joe Montana do. I'm going by the fact that he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion, a 3-time Super Bowl MVP, never lost in the big game. Sort of like Jordan-esque. I can't say the same for Tom Brady. Not only did Tom Brady lose 2 Super Bowls to the New York Giants, a legitimate argument can be made he shouldn't have lost either of them. You have Randy Moss and Wes Welker and the #1 offense, one of the greatest offenses in history, and you lose in 2007. I'm sorry, I'm going to hold that against you. You lose to the Giants again. David Tyree, the lucky catcher, all of that stuff, but forget all that. You lost then. Eli Manning, some would argue, outplayed you. Let's also take this point. That Seattle Super Bowl that you won. Damn it, if Pete Carroll had given Marshawn Lynch the ball at the half-yard line, after Marshawn Lynch had got 4.5 yards with the initial run, okay, instead of trying to throw the football over the middle where Malcolm Butler would intercept it, that would have been not only 3 Super Bowls and 3 Super Bowl tries that Tom Brady had lost, but it would have been a decade since the New England Patriots had won a Super Bowl. And we'd be sitting here today with Tom Brady having not won a Super Bowl since 2004. And also, let's take this into consideration. AFC Championship game when Peyton Manning won in 2006. You know, as interception Tom Brady to close that deal. There was also another AFC Championship game against Denver where the same thing happened. Couldn't close that deal. So, again, Tom Brady is one of the all-time greats. He's Mount Rushmore status. I get it. He's phenomenal. But when you say the GOAT, and I think about Joe Montana, I'm one of those dudes, Max, that I lean towards the unblemished. You know, I lean towards the unblemished. Those all-time records, 4 Super Bowls without a loss. It's a big deal to me.
That was brilliantly argued. First of all, you're wrong. And secondly, you didn't have the evidence, and yet you made a compelling, I will give it to you, when you make a compelling argument. That was a compelling argument.
I don't need you to give it to me, #1, and #2.
That's the only way you win is if I give you something. You're going to lose this one anyway. Now, look, one hand tied behind my back. Watch this, Molly. You see, back in the day, there was the argument Montana or Marino.
Yep.
And we all knew the truth that Marino was better. But Montana was playing for Walsh in a better system. And then over time, those are compounding advantages. When you play in a better system for a better coach, you wind up actually a better player. It's like 2 kids, they're equally bright. One goes to Harvard, one goes to community college. When they're graduating, guess what? The kid who went to Harvard, he benefited from the coaching. You know, same thing with Montana back in the day. Marino with the numbers, Montana with the championships. And then you fast forward a bunch of years, and you had the same thing going on again. Everyone knew Peyton Manning was better than Brady. But Brady was playing for a greater coach, and Brady won all the championships. And Brady's who you wanted in the big spot. Funny thing happened, though. Brady, who once upon a time only had the Montana argument over Peyton, now also has the Marino argument. He also has the Peyton argument over Peyton. He's Montana with Marino numbers. He's Brady with Peyton numbers, literally. The best season of all time for a quarterback, according to Ben Alomar, who runs our analytics department here at ESPN, 96.2 points added. That was Brady in 07 when he had Randy Moss and Wes Welker and these guys. By the way, now he has Gronkowski, you know, another guy who's in the conversation for best ever at his position. And when he has a weapon like that, Brady right now is on pace to have 92 wins added in 12 games. It's amazing. I don't know if they'll sustain the pace and everything, but it's amazing. On a per-game basis, it's even better than 07. The point is, and I talked about Jeter and A-Rod earlier in the show. Yep. It was always the same thing there, too. A-Rod put up the numbers, but Jeter's the guy you wanted. Well, what happens when you're Jeter, when you're Montana, but you have the A-Rod, Marino, Peyton numbers? That's Tom Brady. He's clearly, at this point, the greatest quarterback who ever lived.
Well, again, it's not clear because there are some people out there who would agree that it's Montana. That's #1. #2, I specifically said that I wasn't going to lean on the numbers because we're playing in a different era. #3, let's talk about Brady in this regard. There's a dude by the name of Peyton Manning, and I'm certainly not putting Peyton Manning over Brady. That's not me. But what I would do, I would like to point out something this. He's 3-1 against Brady in the AFC Championship games. Let's also recall that Peyton Manning went to the Super Bowl.
Well, they're 2-2 in the AFC Championship.
I thought it was 3-1.
Pretty sure they're 2-2, but
I thought it was 3-1.
We'll get that cleaned up at some point.
I thought it was 3-1. Well, he also went to the Super Bowl with 4 different coaches: Tony Dungy, Jim Caldwell, John Fox, and Gary Kubiak. Tom Brady has had the luxury of playing with one coach in one system.
The greatest coach ever.
Team. All right, I got it. So I'm saying that. Again, your argument is
you're taking it away. What I'm saying is people mistake that. Belichick, it's always been more Belichick than Brady. That's my argument. Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. But that actually accrues to Tom Brady's, to his benefit over time, because the benefit of that coaching is it makes you a better player over time. It's not just that you're playing in a system, therefore you're a system quarterback. It's that all the knowledge, all the wisdom of that coach, all the coaching becomes part of what you do.
I have a question. If that is your notion, if that is your proclamation, that playing for a better coach makes you better.
Sure.
When Matt Castle went 11-5 playing with Bill Belichick, once he was gone, why did he look like trash?
In Castle's case, he wasn't with Belichick long enough, and he wasn't an exceptionally talented quarterback. Brady, in addition to everything else, is very talented.
Well, what I'm saying to you is this. You can talk talent all you want to, but if the coach makes you better, then that better quality of athlete...
But that was the argument for Montana. The argument against Montana at the time was, look, Marino's just better, but Montana's playing in this Bill Walsh system.
Then he went to
look at this.
Then he went to Kansas City
and he balled out, too. Right.
There.
Yeah, listen, maybe you play for Bill Walsh all those years, you actually become a better quarterback.
So your argument is that not only playing for a better coach, but staying with them a lengthy enough period of time where you can accrue the benefits of being with them.
I made the Harvard Community College analogy. If you went to Harvard for a year, it's not the same as if you graduate. These guys have graduated Harvard. They graduated graduate school, Montana with Walsh and Brady with Belichick. But Brady, as opposed to Montana, is actually a strong-armed quarterback. He's Montana with the ridiculous regular season numbers that Montana didn't have.
And I'm saying to you, if you want to take this system out of the equation, I say no. If you want to put Bill Belichick in there and say, excuse me, that helps, makes you better and what have you, who can argue with that? Because the numbers certainly can't be argued, particularly with how the game has changed. And our defensive players have been pretty much handcuffed to some degree. Montana wasn't playing in that era. Brady had. So not only does he have the benefit of that era, he also has the benefit of Belichick in that era. Montana never had that.
Montana's clutch argument, he gets points for being clutch. I'm saying even with the clutch points, Montana over Brady clutch points I'm giving him. Brady's still the greatest quarterback ever.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, I can't speak to Montana before my time, but speaking of clutch, I've got someone here. Our next guest, he's one of Stephen A's favorites. WWE superstar and actor Gilbert. He'll join us at the desk next. Hello. Quote, Ben gets hit more than anybody in the league and he never complains. Come on, man. This is the game of football. If you're out there and you're scared to take a shot, then don't be out there, especially if you're a running quarterback. Defenses are going to take shots at you, just the way his style of playing football, how he celebrates. I guess he gives the guys a chip. Like, let's go hit the reigning NFL MVP. Also, our Ed Warder reports the officiating review of the Cardinals-Panthers game concludes one illegal hit on Newton was not penalized. Cardinals defensive end Calais Campbell should have been flagged for diving and hitting Newton low while the quarterback was in the pocket. Warder also reported Commissioner Roger Goodell has vowed the league will review the overall Newton situation and promises he will speak to Cam directly. Stephen A., is there anything Cam can do to make it better for himself right now?
Nothing. He can do nothing to make it better. If he speaks, he's going to get crucified. If he shuts up, he's going to get crucified. The reality of the situation is that he's in a no-win situation. It's entirely lose-lose no matter what. He has to accept that and move forward. Because the reality is that it's self-inflicted to some degree. Not entirely, but it's self-inflicted. Some of those hits, they should have been flagged.